Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Ashlie Marie, and in today's video, I'll be showing you how to make your own rosewater. So, for those of you who don't know, rosewater is an amazing product. It's great for soothing and hydrating the skin. It's an anti-inflammatory, it's an antibacterial and antiseptic, which is great for acne. It has vitamin C, E, it's an anti-aging, and it also helps balance out your face pH, and it can be used on all skin types. So that's great because I do have sensitive skin. So all you're going to need is a pot with a lid, some distilled water, roses of course, and some sort of bottle container for you to store your product once it's done. I did pick up this glass jar and the plastic little bottles from my local Dollar Tree. I will be switching out the top because it's not preserve friendly. So I will switch it out with something that will allow me to store it in my refrigerator. It typically lasts for about a month and a half in the fridge and about a week, 2 weeks just in your bathroom. You're also going to need a strainer or a colander of some sort because we're going to use that to rinse off our rose petals once they're plucked. So as you can see, I'm just placing them into the colander, and basically I'm just looking for any pieces of dirt, bugs, anything that shouldn't be in our rose petals, because keep in mind you just want it to kind of be as clean as possible because this is something that you're using on your face. So as you can see, I'm looking, got the goggles on, and anything that I see that does not belong, I'm just plucking it out and putting it into a bowl or the trash or wherever. And if you see it with the naked eye, definitely pull it out, and just look through to give it like another look over to make sure we're not missing anything. But like I said, we are going to rinse off the rose petals with lukewarm water. Don't do hot or cold. Lukewarm water is like perfect because it does have like a little heat, and it is just rinsing everything off. So you can see that our rose petals are nice and wet. They were just rinsed off, and we're just going to transfer them into our pot. Now please keep in mind you need some sort of pot with a lid. I know some people may not have lids for every single pot. You can also, I believe, use like a glass plate to put on top, or I guess not glass, but like ceramic. Um, and you're just gonna transfer it into the pot, and it also doesn't have to be as big as mine. I just decided to pick this one because I just felt like everything had space to kind of blend together. And I don't really use this pot too often. So we are going to just make sure everything is in our pot, and then we're going to use our distilled water. If you don't have distilled water, I guess the best bet would be maybe spring water after that and then tap. And I don't plan on doing anything with the distilled water afterwards, so I'm trying to find different ways to use it. So now we're just going to pour our water into our rose petals. Now this isn't like a necessary measuring cup, measuring kind of project. Everything for the most part we're just eyeballing. So when you're filling up your pot, you want to put enough water to where as though it lightly covers your rose petals. So when you put your water into your pot, you want to see that the water is just right above your petals. You don't want to put too much water, because if you put too much water, you will dilute your mixture. And I've done some research, and I don't see anywhere where it says that rose water has any type of side effects. So, making it strong won't like hurt you or damage your skin or anything like that. So as you can see, I'm just taking my clean hands and we're just patting everything down, seeing where the water falls in the mixture, and just making sure it's just like right above it. um, and then that's kind of it. If you do too much, you will, like I said, dilute your mixture, and we just want it as strong as possible. So after we've put in our water and we see that the levels are fine, we're actually just going to put our top on it and take it over to the stove. Now my top, it does have a little hole in it, which I believe was created to let steam out when you're boiling. But we just want to keep everything in our pot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little aluminum foil and just roll it up and fill in that hole, just to make sure that everything is nice and tight inside of our pot while everything is cooking and boiling. So we just we gotta use what we got. So some aluminum foil to cover up the hole, and then it's to the stove. Now please keep in mind you want to put your stove or your burner on a medium heat. At first I did have it on a 3, but I decided to put it on a 4 because that was kind of like perfect. Like it was hot enough to where as though it was starting to boil our mixture. And then you're just going to put your top on it and kind of take it off after 20 to 30 minutes after, or once you see that the roses have lost their color. So as you see, our roses look very like, they look dead, y'all. It just looks like, what the hell. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these rose petals, because at this point there's nothing you can do with them. We got to toss them. So you can use a spoon, a ladle, even tongs, just to like scoop out your rose petals. Now I did use a small regular spoon, and as you can see, sometimes I would pick up petals, sometimes I wouldn't. So that did take me a minute. But if you also get one of those mesh strainers, which I will be using a little later in the video, you can always just sit that over a large bowl and just kind of dump the mixture over it, and the strainer will catch all the rose petals. Now, as you can see, I scooped out a good amount of rose petals, but now we're opening up our jar, because I had the bright idea to just pour it into the jar with the strainer on top. And as you can see on the table, I do have rose water all over the place, because the opening for the bottle that we're storing it in, or the jar that we're storing it in, is not big enough. So as you can see, I did start scooping out with the mesh strainer, and I'm just taking the back of my spoon and just pushing out any liquid that's been like trapped or absorbed into the roses. We want to get our money's worth. We want to get as much rose water as possible. So just take your time and, get every little drop, y'all. We're not wasting a thing around here. So as you can see, I'm actually about to get a measuring cup, because it just has a really large opening, and I'm just sitting the mesh strainer on top of that. And even though there are no visible visible rose petals in the pot, we're still going to use that strainer just to catch anything that's really small that we can't see while it's in the pot, because there are little pieces of rose petals and buds and things like that kind of floating around. So once I drain everything through the mesh into the measuring cup, you're going to see that it did capture a couple little specks and pieces of petals and rosebuds. So we're just, going to discard that and get rid of it when we clean everything up. But now we have a nice filtered rose water mixture, and we're just going to pour it into our large glass jar. And this is actually going to go into the refrigerator. And we're also going to pour a little bit into those little pink plastic bottles, and that's what's going to be in my bathroom. And there you have it, your own rose water. Like I said, it has so many benefits. It was so easy. You're only cooking your petals for about 20 to 30 minutes, letting them cool, and then transfer them into a bottle. Very easy, very simple, and it's great for the skin. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye.